Doctor Strange is a pretty weird character to break down, especially in the MCU. With most other characters, it's more straightforward. Either the MCU nailed them from the start and kept building from there, or they messed up badly and tried to course correct way too late. But Stephen Strange? He's a special case. Honestly, the guy is just strange. Very, very strange. Our story doesn't start with a spell or a relic, but with a contradiction. We meet Dr. Stephen Strange as a man split right down the middle, a character whose entire journey is a struggle between two opposing selves. On one side, you've got the brilliant neurosurgeon. His ego is as sharp and precise as his scalpel. This is a man who genuinely believes he's the master of fate, of flesh, of outcome. In his mind, randomness is an insult, and uncertainty is something to be conquered. On the other side, there's the humbled mystic, a man brought to his knees by his own fragility, searching for meaning in something larger than himself, and ending up as a guardian of reality itself. That's the core tension baked into him from the beginning. The arrogant man versus the selfless hero, control versus surrender.
Surrendering control, it doesn't make any sense.
But the real weird part isn't that tension, it's how it manifests. It doesn't feel like a clean, steady character arc. It feels volatile, unstable. One minute, he's the ultimate strategic mind, calmly looking across millions of futures to outmaneuver a cosmic titan. The next, he's recklessly casting a reality-altering memory spell for a teenager, almost tearing the multiverse apart. He'll stand his ground to bargain with eternity itself.
Dormammu, I've come to bargain.
But then he'll turn and run for his life from a witch through collapsing mirror dimensions. His power, too, is unstable by nature. It depends on knowledge, artifacts, discipline, and most importantly, his will. So we're going to follow this bumpy journey from his comic book roots through the MCU's reinterpretations, intentional and accidental, to make the case that Doctor Strange is defined by inconsistency. Stephen Strange began as a remarkably arrogant yet gifted neurosurgeon, a man whose identity was built entirely on competence and control. Renowned for his skill, he was also known for his greed and ego, selectively treating only wealthy patients, as if the act of saving lives was something that needed to be curated and ranked. His worth in his own mind was inseparable from his superiority. His life unraveled after a catastrophic car accident caused severe nerve damage in his hands, leaving him with a permanent tremor that ended his surgical career. For Strange, this wasn't just a professional loss. It was an existential collapse. The hands that defined him were gone, and with them, the version of himself he believed mattered. Too proud to pursue a less prestigious medical role, Strange exhausted his fortune on failed experimental treatments. Stripped of money, status, and purpose, he followed a rumor to the Himalayas, seeking a legendary healer known as the Ancient One. At this point, he wasn't chasing enlightenment, he was chasing restoration, trying to rebuild the old self rather than confront who he had become. The Ancient One, the Earth's Sorcerer Supreme, saw past Strange's arrogance and refused a simple cure. However, when Strange discovered the Ancient One's disciple, Baron Mordo, plotting to murder his master, he acted selflessly to intervene. This moment is important because it marks the first time Strange acts without personal calculation. In response, the Ancient One offered him a new path, not as a patient, but as an apprentice in the mystic arts. Strange accepted, training to become a master of the mystic arts. After completing his studies, he returned to New York City, establishing his base in a townhouse known as the Sanctum Sanctorum in Greenwich Village, aided by his companion, Wong. Instead of cutting open brains, he was now cutting into reality itself. But the underlying drive to be indispensable remained. As a sorcerer, his adventures began in earnest. He faced entities like Nightmare, and later confronted Dormammu, a tyrant from the Dark Dimension. During this conflict, he was aided by Clea, who was later revealed to be Dormammu's niece. Even here, his heroism is strategic, almost surgical, problem-solving on a cosmic scale.
Side note.
There was even an issue where he found out about a universe where Benedict Cumberbatch was going to play him.
End of side note.
Doctor Strange's power operates on a different set of rules. Rather than innate superpowers, he is a master sorcerer who channels energy from ancient mystical entities like Agamotto and Sidorak, invoking their power to cast his spells. In a strange way, even his magic reflects his psychology. His power is borrowed, negotiated, and maintained through relationships with forces greater than himself. He is also defined by his legendary artifacts. Most notably, he wields the Cloak of Levitation, which allows flight, and the Eye of Agamotto, an amulet whose light can dispel evil magic. His knowledge comes from tomes like the Book of the Vishanti, and he uses tools such as the Orb of Agamotto for clairvoyance. Strange is less a natural phenomenon and more a curated collection of knowledge and instruments, a man who builds himself through what he studies and what he controls. Beyond pure magic, Strange is a capable martial artist skilled in disciplines like judo and can conjure magical weapons when needed. His prowess has earned him immense respect in the cosmos. The cosmic entity Eternity itself has declared him the mightiest magician in the cosmos. It's a fascinating evolution. The surgeon who sought validation through accolades now receives cosmic recognition from the universe itself. His journey to this status culminated in him earning the title of Sorcerer Supreme, the world's primary protector against magical threats. While he has lost and reclaimed this title several times through major conflicts, it ultimately represents his ongoing attempt to define himself through responsibility and authority, defending reality not just as a hero, but as someone who still needs to believe he is essential. Following in the footsteps of the comics, we meet Stephen Strange at the top of his game, a brilliant but insufferably arrogant neurosurgeon in New York.
Not only about me.
Stephen, everything is about you.
Then comes the brutal car crash that ruins his hands and ends his career. With the addition of Christine Palmer, we see how he slowly loses himself, not just professionally, but emotionally, until he hears a rumor about a man named Jonathan Pangborn, a paraplegic who mysteriously walked again. Now, before I move on, I want to point out this scene.
Hinging on the medulla, I needed a specialist. Nick diagnosed brain death. Something about that doesn't feel right to me.
We have to run.
Not only did he immediately clock that this dead guy was still alive, he ran in immediately to save him. No money-hungry surgeon in sight, unlike the comics. During the surgery, even a small sound like the ticking of a wristwatch could distract him.
Dr. West, cover your watch.
He doesn't play with a single human life. Let's keep that in mind. Back to following the comics, Strange follows the rumors to Kamartaj in Nepal, where he's found by the sorcerer Mordo and brought before the Ancient One. Unlike the comics, the Ancient One is not a man, which doesn't shake the plot or cause any uproar on the internet, because now, all of a sudden, the comic suddenly matters. In the comics, the Ancient One was a Tibetan monk who trains him in martial arts and the mystic arts. Hold on, that sounds familiar.
Buried alive and used an ancient Tibetan meditation technique to astral project out of my body. Father with a mind control drive. I'm blocking it with a technique I learned in Tibet. Location of the Batcave.
I distinctly saw
A mental image I conjured up to block my real thoughts. Trick I picked up from some Tibetan monks.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. She forcibly opens his mind to the multiverse and the astral plane, completely rewriting his understanding of reality. Seeing his potential and his dangerous ambition, which mirrors a former student named Caecilius, she reluctantly agrees to train him. From the start, Strange's ideology is clear. Knowledge is power, and power is control. The mystic world doesn't humble him. It gives him a larger system to master. Strange proves to be a prodigy, studying under the Ancient One, Mordo, and the librarian Wang. He learns that Earth is protected by a magical shield generated from 3 sanctums across the globe. He also secretly learns to manipulate time using a powerful relic called the Eye of Agamotto, despite warnings that such acts defy natural law. For Strange, rules are obstacles. not boundaries. Now, I don't know if the MCU wanted Strange to be a serious or mostly sarcastic character, because I don't know how someone could go from this to making jokes about something that controls time and could cause catastrophic damage in the wrong hands.
Your curiosity could have gotten you killed. You weren't manipulating the space-time continuum, you were breaking it.
The threat emerges from that former student, Caecilius. Using stolen rituals, he makes contact with a cosmic entity named Dormammu from the timeless dark dimension. Caecilius destroys the London Sanctum and attacks the New York Sanctum, where Strange acquires his first artifact, a sentient cloak of levitation. This becomes a pivotal moment for Strange because he indirectly causes a man's death. The hands that were once used to save lives are now tied to taking one, even if by accident. In the conflict, Strange discovers a hard truth. The Ancient One has secretly been drawing power from the dark dimension to extend her life. This hypocrisy devastates Mordo, whose ideology is built on rigid moral order and cosmic law. After the death of the Ancient One, Strange travels to the final sanctum in Hong Kong, only to find it destroyed, Wong dead, and Dormammu's dark dimension consuming Earth. Here's where Strange's unique brilliance shines. He uses the Eye of Agamotto to reverse time just enough to save Wong, then makes a truly unorthodox move. He enters the dark dimension and traps Dormammu in an endless time loop, subjecting them both to repeated, painful deaths. With no concept of time, Dormammu is finally forced to bargain. He agrees to leave Earth and take Caecilius with him, in exchange for Strange breaking the loop. Strange doesn't defeat a god, he out-endures one. Strange, now humbled and dedicated, becomes the guardian of the New York Sanctum, with Wong at his side. He also learns the eye contains an Infinity Stone. In the post-credit scene, Mordo beginning his crusade against other sorcerers, starting by stripping Pangborn of his magic. This, well, we never really saw again. The next time we see him is in Thor Ragnarok, and at this point, Thor was falling into the more humorous path of his character. So in his conversation with Thor, Strange feels more like a doctor trying to diagnose Thor's problem. Not to forget how easily he subdued Loki.
I have been falling for 30 minutes!
You can handle it from here. Yes.
Not much here, so we move on. By Avengers Infinity War, he's the Sorcerer Supreme. His power is measured on a cosmic scale. His key contribution isn't a beam struggle, it's the ultimate strategic feat, peering across millions of futures to find the one path to victory.
How many did you see?
14,605,000.
How many did we win?
One.
Not true. That's not true.
He still maintains that same mindset from Thor Ragnarok. He's mostly on the serious path, especially when you compare him to his companions, though you could argue they act a lot more childish. And in Endgame, the film had to nerf him or, in some way, keep him busy with a tsunami. Spider-Man No Way Home is a movie I don't really like that much, and I've given my reasons before. However, Strange in this film acts like a complete moron. The whole multiversal fracture in No Way Home doesn't start with some cosmic threat. It starts with an astonishingly reckless act of arrogance. The guy entrusted with safeguarding reality casually agrees to cast a universe-altering memory spell for a teenager. This decision is a direct regression to Stephen Strange the Surgeon. He ignores Wong's explicit warning, dismisses the established rules of magic.
Seriously?
No,
that
not
would be...
seriously. That spell travels the dark borders between known and unknown reality. It's too dangerous.
We've used it for a lot less.
Remember the bit about the wristwatch? Let's say Strange is sensitive to noise or distraction when focusing on something. So when Peter doesn't shut up his mouth, it distracts him, making him lose control of the spell. But remember this scene.
All right, we're optimistic, yes. I like your plan, except it sucks, so let me...
When casting a spell with the Time Stone while everyone else is talking and arguing, very, very distracting. He doesn't seem distracted at all. Or in Multiverse of Madness, which we'll get to in a bit, While Christine continues asking him questions while he's casting a spell, it doesn't distract him one bit.
But doesn't a version of you need to live in that universe so that you can dreamwalk into them?
Who said they had to be living?
But here, his mind is suddenly as fragile as when he was in surgery. To top this off, Peter defeated him by trapping him in the mirror dimension using high school trigonometry.
Math!
Don't do this. Ow.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
The film by Sam Raimi kicks off with a younger America Chavez, a teen who can punch star-shaped portals between universes, being chased by a demon alongside a variant of Stephen Strange. That Strange is killed, and America accidentally flees to the main MCU universe, Earth 616, where our Doctor Strange and Wong save her. They learn these demons are after her unique power. When Strange sees witchcraft runes on the demon, he goes to the one person he thinks can help, Wanda Maximoff. This turns out to be a catastrophic mistake. Grieving the loss of the children she created in Westview, Wanda has been corrupted by the dark magic of the Book of the Damned, the Darkhold. Now the Scarlet Witch, rather than having real children with, believes stealing America's power will let her find a universe where her sons exist and she can be with them. When Strange refuses to hand America over, Wanda launches a devastating attack on Kamar-Taj. Wanda's case is also especially inconsistent, which I'll cover in my next video. Let's just leave her be for now. In this scene, I actually thought Strange was going to call for backup from any of the Avengers while putting up a decent fight. But I guess none of them are part of the plot, and Wanda is so strong that she wipes out every single wizard there. No actual spell duel, just cannon blasts and lasers being tossed around until everyone is dead. Forced to flee, America accidentally transports herself and Strange to another universe, Earth 838. There, they're captured by that world's Sorcerer Supreme, a reformed Karl Mordo, and brought before its leaders, the Illuminati. This group, including familiar faces like Captain Carter and Reed Richards, reveals a chilling story. Their own Strange caused an incursion, a collision of universes, by recklessly using the Darkhold to defeat Thanos, and they executed him for it. They see our Strange as the same threat.
Another side note.
In this universe, it's shown that Strange defeated Thanos, but our Strange saw only one way to defeat Thanos, right?
End of another side note.
But before they can act, Wanda uses the Darkhold to dreamwalk and slaughters the Illuminati due to their lack of common sense to get to America. Strange keeps running and then just limps after them, which is strange considering what she just did 5 minutes ago. He escapes with America, aided by the 838 version of Christine Palmer. Their plan becomes a race to find the mythical Book of Vishanti, a weapon of pure white magic to counter Wanda, but Wanda destroys it instantly. This book is basically the opposite of the Darkhold, possessing light magic and nearly indestructible in the comics. But oh well, it's gone in under 3 minutes of screen time. She then takes control of America's mind, sending Strange and Christine to a dead universe, destroyed by an incursion. There, Strange must defeat a version of himself who was fully corrupted by the Darkhold. Strange then uses that corrupted universe's Darkhold to dreamwalk back into his own dead body on Earth 616 for a final confrontation. This Darkhold has different effects on different people. For Wanda, it amplifies grief into madness. Even though by the end of WandaVision, she seemed in tune with her emotions, that doesn't matter. For Strange, it promises ultimate knowledge and control, exactly what he's always chased. No problem though, because this thing isn't even a match for Christine Palmer. Back at Wanda's power source, Mount Wundagore, he helps America realize she can control her powers. America sends Wanda to Earth 838, where she is confronted by the terrified faces of the very children she sought, who see her only as a monster. This shocking moment of clarity breaks the Darkhold's hold. Realizing the horror of what she's become, Wanda redeems herself by destroying Mount Wundagore and every copy of the Darkhold across the multiverse, seemingly perishing in the process.
I have to close it. No one will ever be tempted by the Darkhold again.
In the aftermath, a physically changed Strange. now with a third eye as a mark of his dark magic use, continues his duties. However, in the post-credits scene, a sorceress arrives to inform him he has accidentally triggered a new incursion, a crisis he must now help fix. This, well, we also never really saw again. I mean, do you really think Strange felt any repercussions for what he did? Well, the answer is no. Nothing serious happened to him at all. By the third act, everything in this film was good and dandy.
This time it's gonna take more than killing me to kill me.
Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme, makes jokes after losing all of his friends.
I don't even want to know!
Maybe you could argue that Strange never listens to him anyway, so he just lets Strange do what he wants. But this doesn't suit the tone of the movie at all. And with the introduction of the multiverse, nobody is really gone. For Strange, power isn't just capability, it's identity. When he loses control, he doesn't just feel fear, he feels erased. Control is how he proves he exists, how he justifies his worth, how he keeps the chaos of the universe from swallowing him whole. His power is unstable by nature. It depends on knowledge, artifacts, discipline, and most importantly, his will. And his will is strong when the writers want it to be. But if I want to give an excuse for that, it will be this: the relationship with control and surrender. When control is threatened, Strange doesn't always rise to wisdom. He doesn't surrender. Sometimes he panics. Sometimes he overcorrects. Sometimes he fractures reality, trying to preserve his sense of self. My take is that these wild swings aren't just bad writing, though yeah, sometimes the execution is shaky. They're the direct, messy consequences of who he originally was. That genius surgeon never really disappeared. He just put on a cloak. The one thing that surprisingly stays the same is his relationship with Christine. Across every universe, Christine changes. She gets married, she moves on, she dies, she becomes a different person. But Strange? He stays frozen.
Christine, this is amazing. Thank you.
I don't know how Klee will come in the landscape of things, but his relationship with Christine is very well written.
I love you. I love you in every universe.
His core philosophy never shifts. Control is morality. Power is responsibility. And loneliness is just the cost of being right. To really understand him, we have to look at where these contradictions come from. This inconsistency isn't an external flaw slapped onto the character. It's internal, foundational. It's inbuilt in the concept of magic itself. And the MCU has not been good with portraying magic, have they? This video will cover that.